welcome back. Thanks for coming along and watching the second part of this video. If you haven't seen the first part, we're making the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. And they're sort of a legendary garden, palace, city thing. And I talk about it more in the first part, but if you can't be bothered to watch that part, you can find out all sorts of information about the Hanging Gardens of Babylon on the internet. After all, that's probably where I found out most of my information. So, anyway, so I think in the first part, what we did is we sorted out the main actual building. We also did the front of the building and sort of covered it in plants and stuff like that. We did the vast majority of where the pool or lake is going to be. We sorted out the floor plan, where everything's going to go. I also decorated a few of the rooms and did a few bits and bobs there, but I think that's pretty much it. So we finished the rest of this off now in this part, which we actually get quite a bit done. So at the moment what we're doing is we're doing the main sort of outdoor seating area, where the kind of area you'd classically get in a park. And we put down some sort of seating area. We also put the new water fountain that we got with the romantic stuff pack. Quite a lot of the items from this build is actually from that pack. So if you don't have that pack, then there's going to be quite a bit missing. So I'm sorry for that. But I'm not sure. Does it replace items for you that you're missing? I'm not sure, but I think it would look a little bit weird with all of this stuff missing. But if any of you want to sort of convert this and make it look in a similar way that it does without that pack, go ahead. I don't mind, and share it with me on Twitter. I'd love to see. But we're putting out a little sort of what would you call this? I guess like a canopy, like I've done over by where the cafe is. Oh, by the way, this lot has, it can be used as a cafe, a park, which is what it's put as on the gallery. It can also be a bar if you put in a TV. It's also a nightclub. You can do it as a wedding venue. It can also be a house as well, because we put in a bedroom, a kitchen, that kind of stuff. So it's really quite a versatile lot. You can sort of, it is quite a big lot as well. So if there's sort of areas which are dedicated just to sort of gardens and seating area, like you would find in a normal park, so you could convert them into whatever you wanted. But I'm checking here on the gallery picture, because I'm checking to see whether this sort of wishing well area sticks out, and what we end up doing is we put a whole load of trees here anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I thought they'd look a bit weird, sort of jolting out the side of the building on its own. But we use a couple of these little dome canopy things in this build. Over on this side where I just finished putting the trees, we have a wedding area, and we use them there. They're also put on the top of the building as sort of another smaller tower, a bit like the big tower that I've put. And yeah, I really like them. I think they work really well, especially with the ones with the vines on the inside, because they really do look overgrown. But yeah, this is the area I was talking about where we're having the wedding area. And we play around with a few things, and I'm not, entirely sure what I want to put here. So we go through some choices, and I kind of like that gate in combination with the arch. I don't think it works for this, but I think it'd be really cool if someone were to make something where it's sort of overgrown with flowers, and a little bit like this build, but maybe a little bit more traditional with that gate there. I think it looks really, really pretty. Or even having that as sort of a decorational piece, I think would look really, really good. Maybe I can do a build with something like that. But we're putting in the new benches from the part. I think about putting in a small little bench there, but I end up not doing it, and we end up putting these sort of ruin pieces in here to sort of section it off and make it sort of look, I don't know, more official maybe. But as I said in the first part, I've sort of used yellows and whites and oranges with the flowers, because because I think it goes really, really well with the style of the house that I've done. But seeing as we've got some pink flowers on there, I put in a few new colours in this area and some pinks, maybe to make it look a little bit more romantic for the wedding area. I also put in, you see these algae pieces that are supposed to be put in the pools? I put that down as sort of like maybe like a runner carpet thing that goes up the middle, as you'll see in a minute. But I also put those all over the build, as you probably saw in the first part. But they look really good, I think, and it really does make it look overgrown. Without them, the plants look really, really weird on the sort of pavement stones on their own. Because obviously, when we're doing landscaping, normally we can put down the terrain paint to cast sort of a shadow, but obviously because we can't do that on the normal thing, it does look out of place and weird. So I have to put these down to make it look good. I also think that it works really, really well. The Sims can also walk on it without a problem. It doesn't interfere with anything because it is meant to be floating on the pool and they're able to swim through it. They act as though it is like a carpet on the ground. So we don't have any problem with it. The problem in that instance, but the problem we do have it with it is in the nighttime, it doesn't react to artificial light, so it's very, very, very dark. I don't actually think it looks too bad, but I wanted to keep it in because during the daytime, even though we've got the really beautiful candles, which look very, very stunning in the nighttime with all the flowers, if you were. I do take some out because I've gone way overboard, but I do think they look really nice. So unfortunately, the algae on the ground kind of lets it down a little bit. But I don't think it's actually too bad. And there were some other objects which I found recently, which I contacted people on the Sims forums and let them know about the glitch, because when these plant pots were on in the inside of the house, or indoors, they would go a horrible black color as well. And apparently people reported a few different items which were doing the same thing on the inside. So maybe these had already been reported as looking funny on the inside, but it was on the list of things that were requested for the Sims team to update within the new next patch. So, or at least that's what the person who I was talking to on the forums told me. So maybe we'll see a change in that and make them, maybe they'll look okay soon, so it won't be a problem at all. But we'll just have to wait and see. But we're doing the nightclub here, and I used the nightclub or the DJ stand that had the sort of netting and metal sort of poles and stuff, because I thought it would look really cool to have the plants look like they were growing up and around it. So that hadn't even escaped all the plants stuff. I also put them on these lights, these sort of industrial lights, which I think is a cool effect as well. And we put a bar here. We also put another bar around the corner here. I think that's what we're going to move on to next. And there's just some general seating like you would find in sort of a nightclub, but this could be sort of the party area in the nighttime, and the rest of it can be sort of the, I don't know, leisure area for the daytime. We put in some chairs here. I thought this could also kind of look like it was maybe like a restaurant, if we had a restaurant sort of thing. I also think it ties in quite nicely to the wedding area. They could have their wedding and then go and party. I just turned off I turned it down like to nighttime, and you could see there that they go much darker in the nighttime. But I don't think it looks too bad. When I was building this though, I was struggling between originally having it looking as though it was the ancient ruin itself, like it was the original, and having it look like it was refurbished, but also the three options, and then also having it look like it was back in the actual day, just with modern items. So I sort of use a combination in different areas of all three. Like some parts have been renovated, some parts hadn't. Maybe it was a recreation, but that's why we put some of the bits of the ruins onto the stairs. Like that had been the bit which had collapsed down, so they replaced it with new modern safer stairs. Sorry, and they'd left the ruins underneath to be sort of overgrown with flowers. But we're starting the cafe here. This is probably one of my favourite rooms in the entire build. I highly encourage you to wait until the end to see the screenshots, because this room looks so good with the like Windenburg in the background with the mountains. It's really, really beautiful. I think that possibly, the actual cafe itself isn't, that visually amazingly stunning or whatever, but with the plants and the archways and the sea off in the distance, it does look really, really, really pretty. I end up putting this actually on the 64 by 64 lot on the island in Windenburg, if you were wondering, and that's how I got the views and stuff that I did. But we're doing sort of the finishing touches here, and again, everything's functional and works perfectly fine. You can also sort of walk out and sit by the fountain area, or what was waterfall. That's the one. For the waterfall, you can go and sit out by that, and it looks really awesome. But we're putting the bedroom up here. It also means that if you want your Sims to live here, even though it's a park, they can do. If you want to convert this into a house, you can do. But also if you're just here and you've got one of your Sims which is really, really tired, but you want to do stuff with your other Sims, or just, have a nap before they go on to the party in the evening, that means you can do it. I also think it looks really lovely. It's sort of secluded all off on its own, in the corner. And it has the privacy of the vines and the plants, and it's sort of in the outdoors. And I think it would be really, really lovely. Also, you could sort of imagine that this is a holiday sort of resort, and that's where they could stay. You could also put in some rooms downstairs if you wanted to. But over there, we're doing sort of the lounge, what would be a lounge. So we've put in some sort of instruments and a microphone, and we're putting in some of these sort of rocks on the ground, the sort of round paving stones, and some chairs and tables where people could maybe sit and watch and listen to the performance and sort of look out onto the ocean and that kind of thing. Also, to be completely honest with you, it was to fill up this space because I had no idea what I was going to put here. So I thought that was a good idea, so that you could tick that off and have it as this lot if you wanted to. I knew this area and the sort of small bridge which goes across would be a games area though. So we've got some chess tables, and we've also got the llama game, and sort of card tables and stuff like that, so that you can play all of those things while you're here. But I also think this looks really, really pretty because you get the same view from of like Windenburg and the sea and the mountains and all that kind of stuff. Again, although the plants are all sort of overgrown this pathway, they can walk past it. I did make sure to save the file of this game till after I tested everything, so everything works, because I thought that maybe with all the plants and sort of overgrown areas there would be a problem. I tried a thing which I saw from Simproved. She, in one of her builds, I think it was in a treehouse, she put the monkey bars back to back, so you could they would go from sort of one side to the other. But it didn't really work in this space, so I wasn't able to use that, although I really, really loved that idea. I wanted to use it because it looked really cool when I saw it in Simprove's build. But it didn't work for this build, so maybe I can steal her idea for a different one. But we're putting some more vines on the walls here, and some plants and stuff. The jungle gym, when the kids are on it, they're very, very close to the ceiling. But like I said, still completely works and doesn't interfere. We also put like a little children's area over here with sort of toys and chests and stuff like that. Um, I do have to warn you guys, uh, it took me 2 sim days, if not more, to get these screenshots and also sort of the panoramic shots. Because I like to take screenshots of the Sims actually using all of the items when I'm taking them. So it took me that long to do them, but obviously there were, because it was a park and it's a public place, there were people playing with the toys, and I kept having to pick up the toys, and they were in the most random places. I found like this little toy, and it's actually in one of the screenshots because I didn't notice it until I was taking the screenshot. But there was a little llama which was in the lounge area on the balcony. But so maybe I don't know whether I found them all because I replaced them, or replaced some of them, or I might have deleted some. I'm not sure, but you can have it as a little mission if you can, to maybe try and find the hidden toys that might maybe be hidden around this lot. I can't guarantee it because I can't remember if I found them or not, or whether I just decided to replace them. So you might be enjoying a romantic sunset, and then you have a llama sitting in the background of your screenshots. But maybe it can be a fun game. But yeah, so we're going around and we're doing sort of the entrance way. There's a lot of sort of green and plants here, and sort of seating area so that your Sims can sort of sit and chat over here. But also, quite a lot of the rest of the building has been used for like a specific purpose. You've got the other side of this sort of downstairs, which is the children's play area, and then you've got the toilets. But I thought I could use the rest of this area as sort of just an overgrown space, which was indoors, because I thought that would work, quite well. And there wasn't much of it elsewhere. We've got quite a lot of overgrown seating areas and stuff like that outside, but not really inside. Apart from, like I said, things which had been actually used for things like the lounge area or whatever. And we do the same thing with the stairs, with the ruins underneath it on this side of the building, if you hadn't seen it. And we cover that with plants. But yeah, I'm not sure what else to say. I'm not used to speaking about a build for this long. This is probably the longest build I've done. Because before I've just cut out bits. But like I've said on the first part, I asked you guys on Twitter to see what you would prefer, and you said that you'd prefer to see all of it in 2 parts, or at least that was the winning vote. So trying to find stuff to say about the same build for 15 minutes is quite difficult. So I hope that I'm not rambling, and I hope that this is, somewhat enjoyable. I do find, again, like I said in the last part, a bit towards the end, so probably a lot of you didn't hear it or see it, but when I'm putting down the plants and the greenery and that kind of thing, because it is sort of sped up and I've resized some of them and stuff like that, it does look as though the plants are growing as I'm placing them down and sort of overtaking the build itself, sort of clambering up and around and over all of the objects and stuff like that as I'm putting them down. So it's actually kind of nice to see. It's like watching something being at the will of nature and being overtaken by it, which is actually quite nice to see, I think. We're putting some more vines on the inside to sort of fill up this wall because I thought it looked a little bit empty, and I did want to put in a lot of detail with this build so that, wherever you were using it, it wasn't just, on the outside where it looked pretty, but on the inside, it wasn't really overgrown flowers at all, and it was just, bare and empty and not very good. I wanted it to look as though the whole thing really had been overtaken, and a lot of care had been taken into the look of this, this sort of castle palace city thing. But when you read a lot of things, apparently there are lots of different tales as to why this place was built. But I read some of them, and sort of the most common sort of thought as to what this might be was that a king married, or sort of an emperor or whatever it would have been at the time, married a woman who used to live sort of in the rainforest or where it was lush and green, and they lived in sort of the desert. So what they did is they made this building look as though it was a mountain or a forest, so that she would then feel at home in her new place where she would live. So I think a lot of care would have gone into the appearance of this build if it had been for a loved one, especially if it was then considered an ancient wonder of the world as well. And you got people were talking about it from across the globe as well. In this area, we put some chess tables. We also put, I think, some sort of spa day items. It's not really necessary to have this pack, but I do put a few things. Actually, I take that back. The waterfall at the beginning, I mean at the front of the build, you need the spa day for. But if you don't want it to be a working waterfall, then I guess you don't really need it. But I've got the meditation area, and I've also put out some yoga mats, so you can do that kind of thing if you want to. I only put down a couple of meditation spaces. Oops. Something just fell off the wall. I only put in a couple of meditation places on this lot, so if you want to put in some more, then feel free. I decided to only put it in that corner so that people wouldn't be missing out, but it seemed to be the place that made most sense at the time. But I guess you could put them at the front of the build. You could also put them in the forest as well if you wanted to, in sort of a secluded area. I thought quite a lot of the other places were quite public, maybe. I think from the rest of the build, we are sorting out the very last bits of the landscape, sort of finishing it off. We put sort of a border around this pool with the stones so that it doesn't look too weird. We put some random sort of plants and things like that. But I think what makes this look natural is the terrain paint that I use to make it sort of graduate into the grass. But I end up using, I suggest if you're going to use any terrain paint and you want it to look as natural as possible, use it on the softest setting you can, and don't just use one tone. What I use is I use two browns. I used one brown softly in one area, but then in the darkest points I used a really dark brown, and I think that adds a depth that you would get. And it looks more like sort of the terrain paint patterns that the developers put into the landscape as it is, like the kind of mud and sort of areas around the river that you get in Willow Creek. But apart from that, we're just putting in some plants. So thank you guys very, very much for watching, and thank you for watching all the way to the end. I really, really appreciate it. But anyway, yeah, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you again soon.